and told them that it's unlawful for them to gather their identity documents. It's unlawful for them to make decisions about this family, where this family lives, without doing lawful petition in court of law, that they are to include both parents' names on all case captions, and that everything in a Philadelphia family court will be appealed, all orders that accept DHS non-accountable recommendations. We have several felony misconducts of Lucretia McMillan, but the true culprit is Anne Marie Ambrose and the executives that are on the DHS letterhead, because they're well aware of it. She was notified of it this morning. As soon as she got this at 7:37 in the morning, it's timestamp, which is this family's notice by and through Higher Lyrics legal administrative assistant, saying that what the CPS laws and procedures really are. Never mind the constitutional laws that they're breaking, that to hold them to it, and that we have a right to record their home visit and to ask them to put in writing, which this notice did. It asked them to put it in writing. What exactly are you investigating? What are you trying to discover after hospital professional, Dr. Fleece at University Medical Center, verified there's no problem, and Higher Lyrics has the medical records of Dr. Fleece from April 6th to April 12th, where he released the child abuse report, said it was an authentic accident, that the child is healing just fine, and actually included 23 signatures where the parents authorized routine treatment, immunization consents, common cold, ear infection, to show that these parents have been responsible, loving, consistently, much more consistent than the error-riddled notices and letters that the DHS social worker, Lakeisha Kenyatta, who cannot be found, by the way, in the Philadelphia.gov staff directory, and Lucretia McMillan, who's putting cryptic first initials on her forms, and no one has showed this family ID yet. They've just called and made another family risk, health and safety risk, finances destroying mandate, unauthorized, unlawful, saying, quote, we've decided to call you, we've decided to call you a child abuser. We've labeled you a child abuser. This is the anatomy of a kidnap for profit. This is going to be on our Blog Talk radio show. Now the father, this is the father of the child, Frank Thomas, and he's going to give his statement of the news that he just heard from his wife, a 2:45.
They just, they said that my wife was going to be able to bring my daughter home today. Then they just changed their mind, and then they saying she have to wait until Monday.
But what did your wife say that they said to her on the phone? They decided what?
They decided that they had to make her file down as a child abuse. And now she got wait until Monday, but they said they was going
wait until Monday for what?
For her to be able to bring her daughter back.
But they still haven't given you anything in writing, have they?
They still haven't went to court, judge. Haven't went to court.
Let me tell you what we let Anne Marie Ambrose know. When they first got the child abuse, or the alleged child abuse, possible suspected child, when as is required by law for the emergency room to do it, they being Lucretia Kenyatta, gave this family a, quote, CPS notification, subjects not in custody, form 85M21, which does state what CPS funding laws are and the laws that DHS is supposed to go by. And this is, if you listen to this is exactly why they're doing it. It's revenue driven. They want to keep you in a position where you have to accept their quote unquote services. This family is a homeowner, and DHS will bill for services, say you need an evaluator, we need to witness whether or not, we need to observe whether or not you're bonding with your child, we need to have these home visits. And the family many times thinks they're signing agreements where the city's going to pay for it, when actually DHS contractors are getting liens and attachments on your property and your finances and your bank account. So that could be one of the reasons why this family has been targeted. And if you listen to the language, it is actually designed to force a family to keep services or otherwise always hold the threat of the next allegation over their head, which are the false IMMD tactical task force, where they falsely deploy law enforcement against you using names of corrupt judges and family court. Reason indicated on your 4610 CPS notification subjects not in custody, 85M21. If our investigation cannot determine that there is substantial evidence of the alleged abuse and your family does not need or want services from the Department of Human Services, the Child Protective Services law requires that all information regarding this report be maintained for a period of 1 year. The date of the report was received. After that time, the material will be destroyed in no more than 120 days. So if they're not able to determine abuse, which the doctor ruled that out, they weren't. Their investigation from 4/6 to yesterday 4/12 is done. So they weren't able. Their investigation couldn't determine abuse. So they're just supposed to send this report in, which is available to this family upon request, and close it after 1 year. But instead, they say, if your family does not want services from our department or was already receiving services prior to the receipt of this report and will continue to, all the material gathered during the investigation will remain in your file but will be clearly marked as, quote, unfounded. You see what I'm saying? If you go on and take their, quote, unquote, services, which this family has asked them through a litigation referral mechanism, to please put in writing what you're trying to contract to give me services for. What are these mystery services? You know, what is the purpose? What are you investigating me for? You know, so they need something to bill. So they want the families to say, oh, they're going to keep this in my file, but it's going to be clearly marked unfounded. And do you think this family or any family here in Philadelphia has access to see how they mark the file? It's always that ever-elusive threat that they can, oh, you admitted to being a child abuser, you took our services, now we can come and do whatever we want to you if you don't take this program, if you don't take that program, if you don't jump through this hoop and that hoop, and when you do jump through these hoops, we're going to bill you for it. You, of course, can't afford to pay for this. In the meantime, we're going to threaten to take your child and put a lien on your house and your property, you know, your bank account. That's how that works, the revenue driven. This material will be destroyed in no more than 120 days after the year anniversary of the closing of your case. So, we have bona fide proof documentation of DHS's conspiracy to kidnap for profit, revenue driven for the financial gain of their contractors. This is not about the best interest of the child. This child has been targeted, Diasia, to blackmail a family who has property to do what they want them to do. The working class community here in Philadelphia is being victimized by corruption by and between Department of Human Services as managed by Anne-Marie Ambrose. This was an official notice that went to her this morning. So it's not that she's not aware of it. She condones, approves, and supports her DHS social workers lying. So the federal case that we're preparing will be like the other federal cases. My grandchildren and my husband have a $6.2 million lawsuit against Anne-Marie Ambrose, proving how her social worker lied on October 14th and said a 60-day investigation was open of our home that me and my daughter cooperated with, and 2 days later, Anne-Marie Ambrose, the social worker, was in Judge Robert J. Matthews' clandestine hearing, conspiring, recommending to kidnap the kids for profit and put them in the most abusive situation. And the $6.2 million is for theft of vested interest from their right to higherlyrics.org earnings and the decimation of my earnings and their stolen futures because of the injuries being inflicted on them. And right now, starting today, Diasia Daniels is showing signs of injury caused by trauma, having been removed from her home. Her mother stated to me today that she asks all day, every day, may I please go home. This is unaccountability. This is criminal. These are capital crimes. They actually commit slander and defamation of character, which are capital crimes, without proving without proving any of their claims, and then deny the family due process. That's a violation of civil rights, and it's fraud of the DHS and Children's Protective Services laws and funding. All right, we're going to get this uploaded to YouTube right away, and we're going to follow this court reform case study. There is a child slaughter, U.S. economy fraud, court reform, state of emergency, and we're documenting it here in the U.S. Eastern District for the families of Philadelphia County. All right, thank you very much. God bless.